Welcome back to another solo episode of It's a Man's World podcast. Guys, today is a topic that everyone has been asks me regularly on question boxes, literally every single time I put something up. And I was like, you know what? Time to address that because it's like big part of the work that I have been doing over the last like 2 years or so. So today's topic and podcast is all about chasing, not choosing, or choosing and not chasing. Okay. And again, this is about what you put out is what you get back, and the need and want to be loved, to be in love, but also to choose yourself first. And if you know me and if you've been here a while, you know I've been in a mentorship over the last year with Danny Morell, focusing on myself, my healing, my growth, and just overall becoming a little bit more self-aware. And alongside that comes a lot more emotional maturity. You tap into yourself a little bit more. And the dating life in Miami and in general is a topic that has come up literally all the time. So why not dive straight in and bring you along? And hopefully anyone that's single, maybe you're in a relationship, maybe you are wanting to work on your relationship, or even in business and with yourself, this is going to be relatable. But I wanted to make this solely about yourself and not about business today, because the last couple of podcasts that I've done, we've spoke about business, we spoke about the struggles, the wins, how to build a brand, grow, and you see Pixie Legacy online. But today is about you, and today I want you to choose you. Take out a pen and piece of paper and let's get straight in. So the shift that goes from wanting and wanting and wanting and then waiting for it is very different from putting out what you want to attract back in. And it's so important because the energy, and I speak about this all the time, your energy is everything, and it's so important that you're vibrating from the right energy as well. Because when we attract in a partner or attract someone, whether it's a friend, relationship, business, maybe a client, you look at the energy that you put out, and naturally, majority of the time, they're just a byproduct of who you are and what you stand for. So Fit Coach Rossi, the people that we attract in are the clientele that we want to work with because of the who I am and what we do with results. If you look at different types of companies and maybe the way they approach things and the hardcore and the sales and the way they go about things, their type of clientele are exactly that. Or mentorships, their clients are, the mentees are exactly what the mentorship and the people are. So when you're looking at a partner, naturally it's always, if you don't work on yourself in between relationships or even in a relationship right now, you're going to keep attracting the same type of person energetically and emotionally and in general, but it's just a different shell. And I really want you to take that into consideration today. It's a different shell. The shell looks different, they might sound different, they might have a different skin color, but the energy will be the same. And you will probably and more than likely end up in the same relationship, the same situation, and the same heartbreak over and over and over again until you change the patterns. And recently, I've been going through a little bit of an awakening with myself in terms of change. And change is uncomfortable, change is scary, change is something that we probably don't want to address because we know you might have to leave people behind. People won't around you that you love won't understand, your conversations change. And when you level up, you start to notice these things, and it's hard because part of your life that you love and the people that you love are here, but they may not understand. And that's important as well, that you take into consideration that you're not following what society or generational and your family have said to do. You follow what your heart wants and what you want. And right now as well, you might not know that. And I'm still kind of figuring that out along the way, which tells me that there's still a little bit of me that's feeling a little bit uneasy still, and that's as well, that is okay. So again, this episode is about the shift from chasing to choosing, and this is in dating and love and a relationship with yourself. And I took some notes, and I have some really key pointers that I want you to take note of today, because I feel like this will really, really change everything for you, and it will make you question a lot. So when you're talking about a situationship, whether you're talking about a relationship, fantasy bonds, emotional unavailability as well. It's really important that you look at that. Why do you want someone that's in a relationship or married? And you need to look at that address and look at yourself. What relationship do you have with your mom and your dad? And where's the tie? And what's the What's the pattern here that you keep attracting or that you want? But I think sometimes we abandon ourselves just to feel wanted. And I always say, like, I absolutely love my solitude and I love my peace so much that I don't feel lonely. Yes, sometimes you might feel lonely, but naturally on the inside, I don't. I'm like, I choose this. I choose to be alone. I choose to live alone. I'm not settling for anything less than I deserve. And you shouldn't either. And it's so important that if you ever feel like you're in a cycle of disproving, looking for your worth. Do you ever see people when they break up our relationships and they go through this big glow up? I was one of them, absolutely. But what about yourself along the way? Did you lose yourself along the way? Who are you trying to prove to? Because it's not going to make them come back. And if they come back, they're probably the same person that's going to come back again. So you need to look at what you're waiting for. Are you hoping that someone will change? Are you hoping that someone will see your worth if you do this big transformation? Because if they can't accept you 70 kg, they're not going to accept you at 60 kg. There's no difference here. It's the shell. The shell changes all the time, but the energy doesn't change. So really important that you take into consideration, if you're doing a body transformation, if you're looking at your mind, your body, your soul, amazing on the outside, but if that's what they want you to change from the outside, then they don't accept you for who you are on the inside. And that's why when it comes back down and all the layers are peeled back and we grow old, you see the difference in there of like what you are looking for. And it's normally on the outside. So why is it so important, and why is this topic something that I really want to address? Is because it's not spoken about enough. And I think when I turned 30 in March, I had this like crazy, when I had my passport, I had this, when it was out of date, when I was turning 30, I was like, imagine where I'm going to be when I'm 30. Like, thought I would have had the whole life planned out. Like, 30 is literally when you start living. Things are starting to come together. Like, it's not like you have to have it all figured out, but it's the timeline that we're given as a woman as well to have everything figured out. Biologically on the clock, yes, we do have to obviously take that into consideration for sure. But when you constantly feel like you have to chase love or that you want it so bad, you're doing it out of desperation energy. You're not doing it out of abundance, love, and attraction. You're doing it out of the fear, the mindset. I don't want to be by myself. You don't want to be lonely. You really need to have a little look at that as well, because when we're constantly chasing love, not in like the cute romantic way as well that you see in like a film, it's in this subtle self-abandonment way. And that's something that I cannot stress. So write that down, self-abandonment. Like, are you abandoning who you are, what you say you want to do to keep the other person happy, or to just be with someone and to have them in your company? Because that's not love. That's just, again, that's the fear mindset of being alone. So you really have to look at maybe your relationship now, maybe who you want, what you want, and are you actually lonely, or are you lonely from yourself? Because the person filling the void isn't what's going to make it anyway better for yourself. And again, it's just a pattern that you're just going to end up being in all the time. So we normalize patterns as well, by the way. We normalize, oh, well, I was with them for 3 years, I was with them for 2 years, and like, that's kind of the way it goes. That's not normal. Address it, be an adult, grow, evolve, and change, and attract something and someone different, and the person that you really want to be with. But also ask yourself, am I the person that I want to be with right now? Because I know, like a couple of months ago, I wanted that, but it was because when I came here like last year, I was scared to be alone. I didn't want to be alone. And when I got out of a relationship, I've said it before on the podcast, I naturally wanted to be with someone else. And like, this is 2 years that I've been single, and it's been the best 2 years, financially, emotionally, physically, everything overall. It's just been the best 2 years ever. And until someone can really like add to that, I don't need them. And yeah, maybe I do want to share and grow and build with someone 100%, but until you can add to the pie and to the piece of my story, there's no point, and I don't need it either. So it's like, you really have to look at what you want as well. But when you are available all the time, there's a few things that you need to take into like consideration or take note of today, that what chasing looks like that might relate to you. So number one, always being the first to reach out or carry the conversation. Okay, that's one. Number two, being available for someone who is inconsistent. Inconsistency shows a lack of interest, and they just don't care. Okay, we all know if we don't reply to someone and if we don't reach out to them, we don't really care. okay? Because if you did, you would. I listened to a podcast this morning. I always like to listen to something before I come into my own and just kind of get my mind clear. And I listened to this podcast this morning, and they spoke about what way was it that she kind of phrased at the end? It will come back to me. I'll bring it up at the end. But being available for someone who is inconsistent, okay? And then being more invested in their potential than in your own peace. What they could be, what they should be, shaping them to who they... What about just accepting someone for who they are? And I find that hard sometimes to do, because I used to try and fix someone. I used to try and want to make someone be away from me. But that's not right. You can't change someone. They change for themselves. No one ever changes for you. So looking at their potential instead of your own peace is key. Your own peace is number one, top priority. Feeling like you're constantly in waiting mode, you're waiting for text, you're waiting for clarity, you're waiting for maybe commitment, maybe you're looking for on social media, you're waiting for the perfect person to come in, or they're on their way. Stop waiting. You don't have to wait for this perfect person to arrive at your door. It doesn't work that way. And chasing can also feel like anxiety dressed up as excitement. And I absolutely love that one. When I was writing this script out for the podcast and some key pointers, I always write things that come to my mind, then I go a little bit deeper on it. And when I wrote this down, I said chasing can feel like anxiety dressed up as excitement, and hope wrapped up in a red flag. And hope wrapped up in a red flag is like, wow, that one really set with me. And people are like, what's the green flags that I should look out for? What's the red flags? Guys, we all know what they are. Like, you're just so oblivious and want it so bad that the desperation is like, forget about the red flags, look at the potential, but I'm going to sacrifice my peace for this. That's not how it works. You cannot sacrifice your own peace for their potential. And that's like the star pointer. But the root of the pattern, and what I had down here, was that many of us, and including myself, a majority of us, have been taught that love has to be earned, proved, or won. So I was the person, I was number one. I'll prove to you that I'm worth it and that you won't find anyone better than me. And that's a lie. People are better than me. There is amazing people in the world, but trying to prove your worth to someone all the time and I done it through my success. And I only realized as well last week when I went out, I wouldn't even call it a date. I went out and I met this guy, and we were out and we had a lot in common, and it was really nice. It was very chill. I wouldn't even class it as like a date. It wasn't like a dinner or anything like that. But when we were talking, I noticed myself, and I got home and I was like, oh shit. I was like, I've done it again. So basically sometimes what I do is, because I built myself up on my success and my worth and maybe financial and where I'm living and what I'm doing and my independence, that's who I was proving myself to be. So that's who I was showing him. This is who I am. But who I am and my financial and my success and the companies and what I've built empire-wise is built off of who I am. And along the way, I forgot about that. And I always tried to prove, I think, to a man that like, this is everything that I am, instead of this is just who I am. And who I am is a byproduct of what I do and my success that's brought back. I put out that energy. This is what I do. This is what I love. I'm passionate about. But it comes back from who I am. So ask yourself who you are, and then look at, okay, that's a byproduct of who she is, because you don't have to introduce yourself as the business and this and that and the independence. That's all the exterior. But who I am will be a byproduct of what I do. Okay, and that's where passion lies, and that's really important. That was something that I was just self-aware of, and I don't feel like I need to, the prize and you need to win me and this. That's not how it is. I just know I am, and I don't have to say it. And that's the difference between the emotional maturity and the work that I've done over the last year. Like, I just know. And I had said to me as well, like in Miami, like there's obviously so many options and everyone is always so tempted, and there is a lot here that like, I remember when I came here, people were like, it's very hard to date in Miami. And I was like, come on, how? Then I started to realize, and I was like, now I can see what goes on, but I protect myself and my energy so much that I vibrate different. I don't want that. That's not what I want. And that's why I said as well, girls are so invested in the man's potential and what they have in their money and the exterior that they don't look at their own piece. But when you look at your piece and you're in your own energy and you know who you are and what you want, they attract to you, and you're just like, I'm good, I don't need that, unless you really want it. So that's the difference there. But when I went out, like last week, we were actually chatting about this with a guy, and we were all just out in a group, and he was like I do like it or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. We were just chatting, like, it's very cool. And he was like, but I had brought a girl out for lunch with all of us in the group, and like, you didn't really flinch. And I was like, was that a test? And he was like, no. He was like, but like, you didn't really say anything. And I'm like, because I don't have to say anything. And when you're so secure in yourself and so confident in yourself, ladies, you will know the power lies within you. I don't have to say anything, because I'm not saying I'm better than them, but I know my worth and I know who I am and I know where I stand. And when you know that, you don't need to speak. And that's why he was so confused. He was like, why? I don't understand. Like, and I'm like, I'm like, what's there to understand? And he was so confused because he's never had that. He normally would have like someone text after, like, hey, like, you said you liked me, blah, 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 and like, you brought another girl. I don't care. It's not a big deal. You can't play that game with me. You know, you can just be, when you're in your own solitude, you don't play games like that. That's not the way you play it. So that was just something, and it might relate to someone else as well. When someone else is maybe trying to see if you like them, or the test that you play, you don't need to play tests like that anymore. You just know. It's just the knowing of yourself. Another thing of the root pattern, something that might relate to another one, is the childhood dynamics, attachment style, and self-worth issues as well. So when you look at someone that is a byproduct of their partner or what they want, it's normally coming back down to themselves. And you always hear someone saying, oh my God, like, my partner is actually very like me, or they're very like each other. Have you ever heard that? Yeah, you have. It's because what you put out is what you get back. And childhood dynamics is like generational trauma, things that go back. What way was your mom? What way was your dad? What's your relationship like with both parents? Because when you can't heal the masculine, which is your head, and you can't heal the feminine, which is your heart and your mom, how can you ever attract someone that you really want if the feminine and you haven't got a good relationship with your mom? You can't. It's impossible. And then how do you attract someone that isn't like your dad if you don't bond that relationship there? And you don't have to accept or be okay with it, but you just have to know that it's just part of your story, and it's okay. It doesn't define who you are and the way you're going to live. So it's really important that you look at childhood dynamics as well. Another thing too is we end up chasing people who don't choose us because it mirrors the way we've struggled to choose ourselves. I'll repeat that again. We end up chasing people who don't choose us because it mirrors the way we've struggled to choose ourselves. There's always something that we settle for because we settle for that with ourselves. There's always an issue that the person will have, but look at yourself. It's always a reflection of you. So when I see someone and I attract them in, I'm like, what in this person is, how does this person how did I attract this person in? Like, what does he have that I have as well? Because then you can start to assess and you can just be aware again. You don't get attached, but you can be aware of like, that's probably not what I want right now, but I need to work on that, and that's just a reflection of you. And not all the time, but majority of the time it is, and it can show up in different ways. And what choosing feels like in comparison to both their chasing and the choosing. So as I said, to just bring that back up there to the patterns, you're taught that love has to be proved and it has to be earned and you have to show your worth. No, you never have to win, you just are. Number 2, the scarcity mindset in dating. So there's not enough options. My timeline is running out. Right person, wrong time, all of this. No, there is no timeline. Everything is patterned out for you for a reason. And you may be just waiting for the perfect one, or maybe there isn't the perfect one. You just have to figure that out along the way. Childhood dynamics, attachment style, and self-worth. And then the last one was, and that was my favorite one, is we end up chasing people who don't choose us because it mirrors the way we struggle to choose ourselves. Let that sink in. So they're the root patterns. Moving on to what choosing feels like, okay? When you're at your highest self and you show up at your highest self, your self-trust leads to clarity, not confusion. You're clear on what you want. So I know with myself, if I'm clear on what I want to a degree in terms of a partner, but right now it's not on the forefront of my mind, so I'm not that clear about it. It's kind of on the back burner. Number 2, you no longer romanticize potential. If someone doesn't tick off the boxes or what you want, you recognize the patterns and you say, you don't need to recognize someone's potential or say this is what they can be like. Or like me, I'm going to mold this person into this is this. And if I show them what they can do, they'll love me more. Doesn't work like that. Okay? Doesn't work like that. You ask, does this feel peaceful or am I in another performance loop? And when it feels peaceful, it's very, very different. It's extremely different. And it can also feel quite boring. That was a podcast that I was listening to. It can feel boring. It can feel like this is like very slow and it's like, oh, it's not really, it's kind of chill. It feels a bit boring because you're used to chaos. You're used to finding love in chaos. You're not used to finding love in peace and calm and slow and being a little bit boring. But what do you want? Because then you get to know someone deeper. You get to connect with someone on a different level. And when we look at finding the peace and then the performance loop, why are you performing all the time to show this person what you're worth or what you can do or who you are? That's a sign of what choosing feels like, okay? So really important that you note that too. Number 4, you move at your own pace, not at the pace of someone else. You've got clear boundaries. You choose that this is what I want right now, and I'm okay with not hurting someone else's feelings and saying, but he's a great guy, and like if I don't say I'm settling down, if I'm doing this, like he might run away. Cool, open the door, let him run. It's your choice. I'm like, I will lead you the way. No problem. But that's not how my life is going. There's a communication, there's commitment, and then there's obviously when a relationship and that forms and a bond forms with someone, then you can make mutual decisions together. But it is still your piece, it's your life, and what do you want? So be really, really careful of that too. Move at your own pace, it's your choice. And another, this was in the podcast too, we are the portal to the man. So like, it's the entry. So it's like, listen, we're the one that brings life into this world, as well as you, of course, but we are the portal. That's what the feminine and the woman is. I'm actually going to be quite selective with that. You know what I mean? So just know that too. And then choosing doesn't mean closing yourself off. It means guarding your energy. And I don't think there's anything worse either when a girl gets into a relationship with a guy or vice versa, whichever, and they're just totally like with that person. They forgot about their hobbies. They forgot about their friends. And then you always say, I actually forgot about people along the way because I was so fixated on this one person. Have your own hobbies. Have your own and things that you do. Have your own peace in your own time. It's really important. And don't be relying on someone else all the time to make you happy. Make yourself happy, because then you both complement one another. And that's one of my favorite ones for sure. Then how do we shift out of that chasing mode and running towards it and wanting it so bad all the time? So we detach from urgency, and we realize as well that there is no timeline and love isn't a race. It's not about having to find the perfect one at the perfect time and you turn this age and it has to be all figured out. Sorry, my podcast is called It's a Man's World for a reason. You don't defy societal norms and you live life the way you fucking want to live. All right? And I'm sick of people saying to me, I actually had a friend say to me like, oh, like we're getting married and we're doing this, that, and like you're still not in a relationship. And I was like, I'm like, listen, I'm living my best life, you know what I mean? And that's when you can feel scared. That's when you can feel lonely. That's when you rush it and you attract in someone that is also rushing it. No. You stay in your own peace, you stay in your own power. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it can be a bit like, oh my God, am I sure about this? But trust me, don't let other people's opinions persuade you on their timeline and what yours should be as well. Another way to shift out of the chasing mindset is to rebuild internal safety so external validation isn't your everything. So again, returning to the inside, returning to your safe space, knowing your safe space, understanding yourself and being aware instead of that external validation of like, but he has the car, the house, this, they're all great factors. That's all amazing. And I think someone's financial abundance says a lot about who they are, regardless and where they're at in their life. But remember that you need to have your internal self, and that's the biggest part of a relationship and attracting as well everything that you desire in life. You have to create standards that are self-honoring and not punishment or protection. So remember, if you can't let down your guard and your heart is always closed, how can you truly attract in someone that you want if your heart's closed? Because it doesn't come from your heart, it comes from your mind. So be mindful of that, okay, how do I do that? Well, again, you need to come back and you need to work on the mom, the dad. You need to work on the relationship, and you need to work on the small things in your life that are kind of shaping you to who you are, but is that actually who you are? So there's a few things there that you could definitely work on. That topic there goes a little bit deeper. I would say you would need to do a little bit of work on that, but creating standards for yourself is important, and it's really attractive as well, by the way, to a man when you've got your shit together. You can also be feminine and masculine. You also have your own financial abundance that you're not relying on him, and you're also inspired to grow and learn and become a better version of yourself. Never just complacent and this is my life and that's the way it is, and that's just not the way it turned out for me. You can always choose, so always know it's never too late and you can always choose. Then notice how your body feels in someone else's presence. Do you feel on edge? Do you feel like you can be your bubbly self? Do you feel a little bit tight, anxious? Do you feel like you can't really let your guard down? So there's a few things in there that you could definitely have a little look at, and learn to pause and don't fill every gap with chasing energy. Okay, this is something that I've realized. I'm like, now I don't rush things. I want to assess, I want to get to know the person, and then I'll make my judgment and my decision. And it's okay if that's not the decision and you spend time with this person and you're like, oh, it was a waste of time. It's absolutely not. It's just getting to know someone on a deeper level and understanding humans and how we function as well. And then when we look at those 3 topics there, when I bring it back up to the top, if you wanted to just jot these down as I run through them, just so that you know exactly what you could go back and journal on. And so many people are like, what way will I journal? What will I write down? How about take these notes down and go and journal on them at least 3 times this week and just see what comes up, and it might change as you go. So number 1 is what chasing looks like, and I ran through them. You can go back and you can have a little listen. Number 2 is the root of the patterns that you're always following. Number 3 is what does choosing actually feel like as well. And then number 4 is how to shift out of that chasing mindset and wanting and waiting. You don't need to do that, and about rebuilding your internal self. And then my final thoughts on today's episode and how I'm feeling right now is I am super grateful, so excited as well doing episodes like this. I always have like my notes and the brief and everything that I run through before I do a podcast. But when I sit in this chair and I grab the mic, I'm like, I just flow. I just love it so much. I don't mind if I make a mistake here and there. I don't ask to have it cropped out. I like to keep things natural. I like to keep it real with you guys. And I just know that for some reason on my social media, I don't know why, but everyone is very invested in my personal life because I shared that, and it's what I have chose to do from the start, and I'm real about everything that I do, and I'm honest. But when it came down to deciding, will I do chasing, not choosing? Will I do this podcast about love in a relationship and this and that? I just know that everyone is going to have so much to ask me about. And am I in a relationship? The answer is no. Will I be anytime soon? I don't know. Do I want it? We're going to say, yeah, everyone wants love. Everyone loves love. Yeah, but am I going to settle? Absolutely not. And take this podcast as a sign for yourself. You're right where you need to be. If you're in a relationship right now that needs a little bit of love and work, that's amazing. Work on it, grow, evolve. Don't take it as a problem. There's a solution to every problem. And once the other partner and you is ready and willing to work on it, drop your guard down. Ask the person, are you willing to have a conversation about this? Because remember, what you understand won't be what the other person understands. And always have the understanding that your mind and what you're thinking right now might not even relate to your partner or your family or that member that you're trying to talk to. So don't feel like they should understand, or how can you not understand? Communicate with one another, understand, slow down, listen to them, And that's something I still struggle with, and that's okay. But my final thoughts on this podcast is, number one, you don't have to chase to be loved. Okay? You don't have to chase to have money. Money, abundance, love, financial growth, freedom, who you are, all of those headings all come with choosing. Okay? It's what you're putting out. It's your energy. It's all coming from the inside. None of that is chasing, always the next thing and the next goal. And again, it's something that I am working on too. Number two, you don't have to prove your worth to anyone. And if you ever feel like you do, they're probably not the one for you. Okay? Number three, you don't need to earn someone who was never ready to receive you first. Okay? You do not have to earn someone who was never ready to receive you first. So always have that clear communication. They're hard conversations to have, but you'll always know. You'll know straight away. And when you have that good feeling and you know the energy you're getting back from someone, take it as a sign. It's not off for no reason. It's telling you the answer. You're just so oblivious on what their potential will and should be that you give them the benefit of doubt and you waste your own time and you end up upset. So you can learn the hard way, but save yourself a little bit of time. Number four, where in your love life are you chasing and not choosing? Where in your financial life are you chasing, not choosing? Where in your physical life, what way do you chase every single day? Look at every single part of your life. Don't just take this topic with love. Yes, it's the main one, but look at every other area of your life. And then what would shift if you stopped trying to be chosen and choose yourself first? All right, well, I would have less stress. I would be a little bit more relaxed. I would probably have a lot more that I would want. I would be in a very different situation. I would live somewhere else. I would probably be in a different job. I would have different friends, definitely. If there are answers that you're writing down right now, when I ask this question, something needs to change in your life. Do not take these podcasts and sit and listen all the time and take no action on what people are saying. We're real people. We want to help people. I post and share these podcasts to inspire you, not to just spark a few ideas in your head, but to grab that piece of paper, grab the pen. If you're out on your walk, get your notes out. Take action. The people that are making moves and the ones that are successful, happy and abundant are the ones that take action. They don't just sit, wait, chase. They sit, they take action, they observe, they put everything that people are saying into action and say, well, what could I do a little bit different? Or what way am I living that these people that are so abundant that I could probably do? Because it's not science here. It's really so simple and we make it so complicated. So what would you shift in your life if you stopped trying to be chosen all the time and you chose yourself first? Would you post different content? Would you rather just show up online yourself? Would you rather not be online? Would you unfollow some people? Would you mute some people? Would you change career? All of those things are scary, I'm sure. For sure. Would you change? But if I change country, okay. Remain the same. But what would shift? Write it down as if it's after happening for you and see how it makes you feel. And I can guarantee you, I do with all my clients, mentor and fit coach Rossi. And when they get into that zone and I explain it to them, they're like, oh shit, they were like, I would be buzzing. Yeah, like imagine sitting by the pool with like a pina colada and I'm on my laptop working away. Like that would be the life. Why are you not going after it? Because I live at home and like you can't really do that and you can't get up and leave. Why can't you? You get to decide everything that you want in life, and unless you take action and you really tap into yourself, you won't ever discover what life really has to offer. And I've taken, I've said it on majority of episodes, I have taken serious risks over the last year. Some paid off, some haven't. I've learned from every single risk that I've taken, but I know that it's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard, but just know if you don't change something right now or if you don't try, you will never know. So I really hope that this episode has inspired you. I hope that you're feeling excited. I hope that has cleared up a lot of clarity for anyone that's asking about my love life. The minute I have a partner, he'll be sitting on the chair across from me. We'll be interviewing him and we'll be saying exactly where we're at. And I'll bring you along the journey for every single part of the next 6 months of this year. And here's to making it amazing. Thank you so much for listening or watching on YouTube. If you can give it a thumbs up, a share, tag me in it as well. I love hearing and seeing your feedback too. It would mean a lot. But I will catch you on the next one. And just a gentle reminder to always choose and not chase.